So today we're going to be going over 10 affordable men's designer fragrances that have great performance. So in the grand scheme of things, that's not all that common. It's not necessarily that you have to spend a ton of money to get great performance. Like you don't need to go out and spend, $200, $300, $400+ to get good performance, right? There are a lot of fragrances out there in that price range that do kind of provide that, but it's not a necessity. You can get great performance out of things that are, $50, $60, $70, $100, right? And that's more common than things in this price range that we're going to be talking about today, which is around $40 and under. And some of these are well below that $40 mark, others are right there on the line. And so again, it just comes down to, you don't see this as often, it's not a guarantee that spending more gets better performance, and it's not even a guarantee that spending less gets worse performance either. There are outliers on both ends of the spectrum here. So you just have to be on the lookout for what works and what doesn't when it comes to meeting that criteria for you. If you're someone that is focusing and prioritizing on performance and you happen to have a pretty strict budget, you're going to be very pleased to find out about these. And so the only way these are affordable or cheap is through discounters. Retail is going to be, not cheap. It's going to be $80+. So shop through discounters. You can get these for the prices that I'm referencing today. We can start off with FERRAGAMO F Black. It's all about the pepper and the lavender. That's all you need to know. It's spicy with a little bit of a soapy, clean freshness. This DNA is a little bit more classic. It's very masculine, a little bit more traditional. This is going to be around in the $30 range. So great stuff. I love how it smells. I have loved this stuff since day one. This was one of those hype beast scents about, 6-7 years back or something like that. And for good reason. It's well deserved. It's a great affordable scent that offers a lot of versatility, great mass pleasing abilities, and also great performance, both projection and longevity. This stuff is perfect for winter because it's so pierce and sharp and spicy. It cuts through the cold air really easily. Next up, we have Bentley for Men Intense. So around the same price, about $30, 100 ml. This is another one that got a little bit of hype, but it's more polarizing and more divisive than F Black. So there's going to be a lot of people that won't really get along with this one, and there's going to be a lot of people who absolutely adore this stuff. You'll find that it's going to be on one side or the other. There's not a ton of people just kind of in the middle and indifferent. It's kind of one of those love it or hate it type of things. For me, I love this stuff. It's got rum, has some kind of incense in here, a little bit of a woodiness going on as well. So it's smoky, it's boozy, it's sweet, it's amazing. The rum in here is really nice, and it does mix together with everything else going on. It's definitely old school smelling, and that's the main gripe, is that it smells old, right? It smells like a church, some people will say, because of the incense in here. All valid points, all valid criticisms, right? It's just one of those deals where you like it or you don't. And so it's important to know that going into it. Because this one is so affordable, and a lot of these are so affordable, it gets to the point where you're going to go out and spend either $10 or something on a sample online, or you spend $30 on a full 100 ml bottle. And so it's kind of like, which one makes sense? If you're really skeptical, maybe the sample works out because you save $20 and throw it away. But if you end up loving it, well, now you could have spent $20 more and gotten a full 100 ml bottle. So with cheapies, it's a little bit more tough to gauge whether or not you should sample or just go for the real deal, or the full bottle, I guess I should say. But again, you just need to kind of use your best discretion there. And again, if you're someone who doesn't like older school classic men's scents, there's no reason why you should just dive into this one head first expecting to like it. So use some common sense when you're going into something like this. It is a little bit more old school, traditional, classic, whatever. But again, it's great performing, has great quality for the price as well. Next up, we have Halloween Man Shot. So kind of an interesting name for this one. I don't fully understand the idea behind that, but whatever. It's got iris, cardamom, and vanilla here with a little bit of daiquiri. So there's a little bit of a boozy kick, not a ton. Some warm spices, some sweetness, all of that stuff. You know, this is something that blends in more with what's being released nowadays. So this one doesn't really have too much of a classic feel or too much of a old school style. It's more modern in the fact that they're focusing a lot more on the sweet notes that we are very used to seeing nowadays with men's designer releases. Even though this is nothing new, it's been out for a while now. It's just kind of leaning in that direction. And so if you want something that's going to be around $35, has great performance, something that is a little bit different, it's kind of out of the ordinary here, just because it follows that more so sweet trend. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a cookie cutter release and that it smells like everything else. They've kind of got their own thing going on here. I like this one a lot. You can even go for Halloween Man X as well, which has coffee, leather, whiskey. Each of them kind of focus on a little bit of a boozy kick, but they don't take it to the extreme. So this is still very easy to wear and pull off in a lot of situations. At the price point here, it's hard to beat. Following that sweet trend with Ferragamo UOMO, it's got sweet notes, tonka bean, kind of a tiramisu accord in here as well, or at least it kind of smells that way. It has a dessert kind of coffee, chocolatey kind of texture to it, even a little bit of a nuttiness, which is always bizarre to say out loud, but I got to do my best to describe it. It's kind of what it has. Almost like a chestnut, but a little bit even more rich and strong than a chestnut accord, which of course you smell and like by the fireplace and the Stronger With You scents. If you're familiar with those, you kind of pick up on a similar thing here. It's very good. I love it. It's 40 bucks, okay? 40, maybe 45, maybe 50, okay? Give or take about 10 bucks, we'll call it that. You know, testers you can get for a little bit less. It just depends on where you're shopping and what the current market is sitting at. But around in there, we'll call it even at 45 or something like that. But you can get it for a good price. Maybe it's a little bit more on the line here. You know, there was a point where you could get it pretty consistently lower than that. Prices have changed over the years, but if you can find a good deal on it, which they do pop up, you can get this one for a very reasonable price. And I will also say that this one does outperform a lot of the other more affordable scents on the market. So maybe you pay a couple bucks more, but it is going to put everything else to bed. It is a beast mode scent, and it's because it's so sweet. There's so much behind this one, so much momentum, so much driving force from all of the sweet notes that it's almost unstoppable. It's crazy. It's really good for the cold weather because it does cut through the crisp, cool air. Great for the upcoming winter time and fall. Next up, Davidoff Cool Water Parfum. So the way I look at this one is it is simply a stronger, a more rich, and more interesting version of the original Eau de Toilette, which the original EDT is, of course, a classic. It is a #1 bestseller. I think every guy just about has a bottle of Cool Water EDT sitting in their bathroom, probably first and foremost, which you and I both know that that's not the place to keep your fragrances, but a lot of guys do who don't know, and that's fine. They're probably wearing it every day and they burn through a bottle quick enough to where they don't see any ill effects from doing that. That's just a digression we can get into some other time, but everybody has Cool Water EDT. I would say that not everybody has Cool Water Parfum though, and I think it is one of the best releases. I would say this one and Grapefruit and Sage are two really good pickups. Between those two, the Parfum does perform better, and again, it has more going on in terms of its richness and its texture and depth, everything like that. You know, there's just more substance to this one. It has a little bit more of a modern take on the EDT. There's a slight bit of like an ambroxan, amberwood, blue fragrance vibe in here to kind of aid in that modern refresh, because that's kind of the trend now. But ultimately, it smells great. And again, most importantly, coming in at a Parfum, it has fantastic performance as well. Last up for this video, ENCRE Noir A La Extreme or Extreme. It's all about the incense and the vetiver and the cypress. Smoky, woody, a little bit sweet, but ultimately woody, very strong. So, you know, ENCRE Noir, it's a $20 scent pretty much all day long. There's the sport version, around the same. This one comes in at a little bit more than the other two. What is it? Maybe 30, maybe 35, maybe even not that much. I don't know for sure, but it's a little bit more without being crazy, and it is still cheap. And so it simply is the original DNA, but just amped up even more with the addition of incense. It gives it even more of a smokiness. Now, vetiver itself can come across as a little bit smoky depending on how it's used. And even in the original ENCRE Noir, it has a little bit of a smokiness, right? It is a richer, kind of heavier vetiver, but this one takes it to the next level. And I've said this before, but this is the type of designer scent that you can purchase and get somewhat of a niche experience. You know, of course, price point, big difference. Quality is going to be a big difference as well compared to niche. You know, there's differences, okay? The niche snobs, they hate when we say stuff like that. But let's be real. This is a designer that truly pushes the limits. And the fact that you can get it well under even $50, which I believe $50 is still a reasonable price point, when you can get it for about $35 to $30, somewhere around in there. It's really crazy. It is something different. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. A few cheap but very good performing designer scents. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.